Welcome back. I want to talk about habit number 7 of highly effective researchers who write a lot of papers. And today it is writers write and they don't always enjoy it. Sometimes I speak with students and they tell me, "Teacher, good writers like to write. And because I don't like to write, I must not be a good writer." This is kind of how their logic works. However, it's useful to remember that many people hate writing. Even good writers hate writing. Writing is what we call a necessary evil in English. It's something we have to do even though we don't like to do it. Now, the good news is that even if you don't like to write, you can still get writing done if you have good writing habits, like the ones we've been talking about over the last few videos. And the one I want to mention particularly in this tip is good writers write little and often. Little and often. Don't wait for big blocks of time. Big blocks of time don't come very often, and even if you have a big block of time, you will probably waste that time. Many times I speak with students and I ask, "Are you working on your paper? Are you writing?" And they say, "Well, next week I'm going to write for 4 hours." Next week comes, I ask, "Did you write?" "No, teacher, but next week 6 hours." "Did you write next week?" "No, but next week 8 hours," until they're right before the deadline and they write 16 hours all night, and of course they're miserable. Of course the quality of their writing is very low because you can't do anything well for 16 hours, especially not writing. And they say, "I never want to do that again," because they burned out. And that's what happens when you write too much at one time. You burn out. It's like exercise. If you want to build muscle, do you only go to the gym one day a month and exercise for 16 hours? No. What will happen? You will burn out, you will hurt yourself, and you won't want to do it again. And that's what happens when you overwrite. You burn out your brain power and you don't want to do it again, so you avoid doing that writing. That's why, just like exercise, if you want to build muscle, you go for short periods, maybe 15 minutes the first time, and then 16, and then 17 and a half. You work slowly up to a full 30 minutes, for example. Writing is the same way. Start small, just 15 minutes a day. If you start for 15 minutes a day consistently, in the same time, the same place, you will begin to think about writing at that time, in that place. I recommend you get a little timer and you put it by your desk and you set it for 15 minutes, maybe like a little egg timer, very cheap timer. And when it's tick, 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 you are typing as it's ticking. And when it goes ding, you walk away. You have just finished your writing for that day and just begun maybe one of the most important habits of your career. I have students who I haven't seen in my class for 12 years, and I will sometimes meet them, and now they're teaching in different universities, and they will tell me that they forgot most of my class about writing, but the one thing that they remember is to write just a little bit every day. And some of these scholars say that that was their most important habit that they learned, and that this habit, continuing to write a little bit every day, has allowed them to get all the papers that they need. If you can write just 15 minutes a day, you can get a paper every year. If you can't write 15 minutes a day, then I just don't know any other way to help you. It's that fundamental. It's very, very important. Let me give you some other tips on that 15-minute a day. I think you should start in the same time every day. Now for me, I like to write in the mornings, so I wake up a little earlier and I sit down in front of my computer. I don't like the mornings, but I want to do the most important thing first, so I write in the morning. It might be good for you also. Mornings are good because for those of you who are students and have roommates, your lazy roommate is sleeping in the morning, so it's quiet in your room. At night, your lazy roommate is playing computer games, and he may distract you, so mornings might be a better time. The same place every day. If you always sit at your writing desk to write, then you train yourself to think about writing at this place. I think a place away from your normal working place is a good one. For example, I have a student who goes to a coffee shop, and he always does very well writing in this coffee shop. When he sits down, his mind just goes right to his work, and he's very productive. You might consider something like that too, a special location separated from all other distractions where you only work on your writing. Carry a notebook Sometimes really good ideas come at bad times. If you catch those ideas and write them down in your notebook, you can begin your writing time by transferring your notes into your file and revising them, adding to them, modifying them. Don't only think during your writing time. In fact, do your thinking outside of your writing time and use those thoughts to jumpstart your writing time. Get rid of negative thoughts. Don't think, oh, my English is poor. I hate writing. This is so miserable. Try to keep in mind it's only 15 minutes. You can survive 15 minutes. 15 minutes, anyone can do 15 minutes. By keeping the time short, it's not so threatening for you. It's not so intimidating for you, so you're much more likely to get it done. Sit alone in silence before you begin. And sometimes it helps to just relax for just a moment. And when you're sitting there quietly, thoughts start to come to you, and you can start to type. You can start to write. And last, and this is maybe most important, never write and revise at the same time. You're either writing or you're revising, but not together. It's very hard to get a creative idea out of our mind onto our paper. Even native speakers, we have a hard time with this. So either we are writing, and when we are writing, we are just any dirty grammar, we don't care, we're just throwing it down there. And then on another day, we will come back and we will rewrite, we will revise, we will think about our English, we will think about our grammar, but never think about criticizing and creating together. Never write and revise together. This will kill you every time, and you will be thinking about the grammar and also the idea, and it will block you, it will stop you, and you won't be able to get it done. So your first draft should be ugly. Your first draft should have maybe some Chinese mixed in, fine. Your first draft should have writing errors, that's good. Later, on another day, you will get into your critical mode, and you will come and you will start to revise and maybe add to what you already put there for your first day when you were only writing. So, make writing a daily habit. Use timed bursts, short 15-minute sections. And understand this works because inside of us we have two selves, our rational, logical self and our emotional, reactive self. Now, our logical self says, you need to write today, it's very important. But your reactive self is like a little child. He doesn't like to write. It's not fun for him. So he will say, oh, before you start writing, you should call your mother. Before you start writing, you should clean your room. Before you start writing, check your email. You know, it will find the little work to avoid doing the big work that you should be doing. So by doing only 15 minutes a day and keeping it very focused, you're more likely to get the writing done. Finally, sometimes it helps to lie to yourself. You know, I had a student who told me, teacher, I cannot even write one word. It's too much pressure for me. And I told him, okay, then sit down and tell yourself, I'm not going to write. I'm only going to open up the file for 15 minutes and look at this. And then he opened up the file. He started moving things around. The clock was still ticking. He started to type. And then he started getting going, but he wasn't able to get started, so he told himself that little lie. So you might want to do that too. In fact, if you don't think this is a good idea, still just set aside the time and start typing. I think this is a bad idea. Steve gave me a horrible idea. I'm never going to do anything useful. And then after 15 minutes, ding, walk away. It doesn't matter. As long as you're spending that 15 minutes writing anything, the time will come when you will start to put down some ideas. And remember, we don't write because we have good ideas. We write to make our bad ideas better. Now, this is important. The act of writing is a generative activity. By writing, the thoughts are kind of forced out onto the screen and onto the paper, and there's really no other way to do it. So if you're just waiting and waiting and waiting for a good idea, you will be waiting a long, long time. Better just start writing. Just start writing 15 minutes a day, and that act of writing will help you to generate the ideas and the thoughts that you need. And you'll notice that as you put your bad ideas together, they improve. As you revise, they improve. As your reviewer gives you feedback, they improve. the beautiful article that you read in the journal did not look like that in the beginning. In the beginning, it was ugly. In the beginning, there were a lot of errors, but it was revised over time, and your idea needs to be revised over time too. And the final product will be something great. It will be something publishable. Well, that's all that I have for you today. For more information, visit my blog, editing.tw/blog, and you'll see a lot of articles that we've already published on how Chinese scholars can publish more in international journals. In addition, I have a company that revises and translates Chinese papers, and you can visit us at editing.tw. We have a site, a company right here in Taipei, and we can pick up the phone and talk to you as well about any questions that you may have. And our editors can also write comments in your paper that will help you to improve the flow, not only of your English, but of other things as well. So for more information, please visit our site, which is editing.tw. Thanks for joining us.